You see a lot of people online trading on prop firm accounts, but today we're going to be discussing what might be better for you is trading on cash accounts, but treating them with the same respect. I've done the maths, okay? I've worked it out, I've figured it out. Well, I say worked out, it's not that too much to work out, but we're going to create a scenario, and then you guys can take it away and decide what may or may not be best for you. So let's start off with 100. We'll do a $200,000 account just because it's a round number, okay? So a 200k account with FTMO, for example, is around £1,000, right? I'll put dollars, but just imagine that's pounds. Okay, so let's call it cash account, okay, here, or we can call this the challenge, okay? And then from here, let's make that a little bit better. We're going to be basically deciding which is better. So say, for example, we put £1,000 into here and then £1,000 into the challenge, okay? I know allocation and things like that. It doesn't matter. We're going to forget all that type of stuff. So we start off with £1,000, okay? And we start off with 100,000, okay? Or 200,000, and that is allocation, so we can basically trade on that account, okay? Paying £1,000 for that $200,000 or £200,000 allocation. So let's say, for example, on the cash account, we're going to be risking 10% per trade. So we're going to be risking 10%. And on this one, of course, we're going to be risking 1%. Okay, so we're risking 1% and 10%. The reason is because if we lose 10 trades in a row here, okay, we're failed. Okay, but failed. And then we lose the 1,000. Whereas in a cash, if we risk 10%, we've got 10 trades and we lose the 1,000 as well. So then let's take it to the next step. So we have this £1,000 account, we've risked 10%, blah, 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 blah. Let's say, for example, we pass. Okay, we need to make 10%, but we're risking 10% per trade. So we're going to 100 times our account. Okay, so this 1,000, once, let's call it stage 1 is passed, okay, we're going to be making £1,000, okay, on a phase 1 pass. So now the account's at 2,000, so we're just going to put 2k. This, if we pass, we just pass and go on to stage 2, okay, put it S2. So now we're thinking, okay, cool, we're on phase 2, but we haven't done anything, okay? And guess what happens with this? We reset back to 200k, okay? We actually haven't made anything. We just passed phase 1, so we got 200k, whereas this, we're sat at 2k. We're not going to risk 2k, we're just going to risk 1,000. So we keep 1,000 back, okay? And then we put another 1k in. So we've risked 1,000, and we're going to keep 1,000 in, so that's 1k, okay? Ignore my writing, because it's not that good. And now we're at stage 2. So stage 2 and stage 2. So now at these parts, we're same again. 1,000, okay, and 200,000. If we fail, we lose 1,000 on the cash, okay, so we lose this, right, but we've retained this 1,000, so then we can go again, okay, we've capitalized on our money. However, if we lose the 200k account here, we still lose the overall 1,000 that we put in without retaining any money. Okay, so let's look at it in regards to passing. So if we do pass this next stage, we make £500. If we pass this, we get allocation of the 200k funded. Okay, which again is only $2,000 worth of drawdown if you risk 10% per trade. Okay, so we're going to simulate that it's 20,000. So now let's say, for example, we're sat at a profit here of £1,500 after passing phase 1 and phase 2, and then here we have 200k funded. Okay, so now what do? We take home the 1,500. So we're set at 1,500 profit, okay, and we put back in the initial £1,000 to trade with. And then same like this, we have 200k funded. And let's say, for example, you could do this with 2,000 or whatever you want, but we're just sticking to 1,000 because that's what the challenge costs. Now, let's say, for example, we've got 200k funded, or we've got £1,500 in profit with £1,000 retained in. Let's say, for example, we fail. Okay, so we're going to go fail. On this one, we lose the 1,000, but we've gained 1,500. On this, it's minus 1,000. Okay, so now let's say, for example, we make a 3% payout, 3% pay on this and on this. So on our 1,500, if we're risking 10%, which is 150, we make 3%, so we're making 30%, we're making 450, so we're making £450. Okay, whereas on the 200,000 account, okay, so the 200k account, 3%, that's 2,000, 3,000, 4,000. We're making $6,000, okay, 6k. So now the totals of this is minus the 1k, minus 20%, and minus the transaction fees for dollars to pounds. You take in a little bit off there, so let me work that out real quick. So now after fees, so dollars to pounds, if you live in the UK, we've now returned like 3,500, I think it was. Okay, and we've only got a £450 return on here. And let's say, for example, then we fail, because most people take one, most people take one fucking payout or whatever. That's even if you do get a payout. Okay, we're talking about risk management here. Okay, let's say, for example, they both fail. This over here, okay, we've got 1,500. Sorry, I worked that out wrong. I looked at this 1,500. It's this 1,000. So we're going to be making 3% on that, so that's 300. So we're making plus 300 on this, okay? And if we fail, we obviously lose the 1,000, but in total we're up 1,500. And now we're up another, so now our total account balance on this is 2,000, yeah, plus that, that's £3,800 that we're up from £1,000 initial investment, and we only take a payout of £3,500, okay? So you're saying to me now, okay, Cree, like we've risked the same amount, we've done this, we've done that. We haven't risked the same amount. The reason we haven't risked the same amount is because on a broker, like Vantage, for example, we're going to be paid that sum, okay? And even with compounding on all of these steps, like if you just left the capital in there, you're making fucking bunch more. But on this, let's say, for example, this £3,500 payout after fees, after the 6k, okay, what's going to happen? The account is going to be reset. Okay, so we're going to be back to a 200k. Okay, whereas on here we have the level to potentially trade with the entire 3,800, and then if we're risking 10% per trade, we're risking £380. So, for example, we make a 5% payout. You kind of get the maths, right? And then let's say, for example, on here, payouts rejected. What do you do? What do you do now? You've just lost £1,000 from your initial investment. You've just lost £3,500 for your payout. And that's without failing, okay? This here on the left, after we've gone through everything, this here, cash, okay, is a much safer route because you've got multiple different steps to start taking your profits out. The problem with trading on prop firm accounts is that you don't have the level where you can go, okay, cool, I wanna get out for £2,000 profit from my initial £1,000, which is a good return on investment. Don't get me wrong, it's fucking, you just doubled up your money. And you also have the likelihood of being rejected. Okay. So this is less risk. Okay. Less risk. But then people go, oh yeah, well I like the risk. And it's like, no, I like risk, but when it's in my control. Let's say, for example, I risk 20% instead of 10%, right? I'm decreasing my trades by half, but I'm increasing my profits by double, okay? So then this 3,800 realistically turns into 7,600, okay? But again, that's your risk that you are willing to take. The problem with the risk on the prop firms is you not getting paid, and you also fail in stage 2. I genuinely believe the amount of challenges that I failed, okay, and if I would have just done this kind of theory on cash, my cash account would be like hundreds of thousands, okay, with compound interest, okay? So, and again, I have received payouts for prop firms, so I do believe prop firms are viable. They are good. However, this could be a different way for you to look at it. And this isn't trading the prop against the cash or any of that bullshit, okay? This is purely making the decision between cash, okay, and prop. If you've got £1,000 to spend on a challenge and you pass that, which is brilliant, okay, why wouldn't you just put that into a cash and trade it into the same respect of 10% per trade instead of 1%? Do you know what I mean? It's interesting. It's an interesting theory, and I think you guys should have a look into it, okay? I haven't actually put it into practice yet, but I'm willing to do so. And this is on the theory if you pass the account. It's an interesting concept, and I think you guys should explore it, especially if you're like a bit like scared of prop firms. If you can pass a prop firm challenge, phase 1 and phase 2, which a lot of people have, and you could actually convert that theory into cash accounts, you could be making a lot of guaranteed income from that, okay? If you pass a challenge once a month, okay, and if you can pass a challenge at least in 2 weeks or 3 weeks, okay, you will make £2,500 in that period of time, okay? And you got to think, you are guaranteed that money. You haven't got any worries. You haven't got to wait for the withdrawal day. On brokers, you can withdraw straight away. So it's quite an interesting concept that it could change your trading career, to be honest. And I'm going to document me doing it as well. Okay, so I'm going to be taking the same trades, risking 10% instead of 1% that I would on the challenge, but I'm risking the same amount of capital that cost me to do the challenge. Instead of doing the challenge, I'm doing on a broker. Okay. So yeah, I hope this helps. Let me know in the comment section if this is an interesting theory or it's been discovered before. Well, not discovered, but maybe used before. And yeah, let me know your thoughts, and I will see you in the next video.